Welcome to P Stories. Tonight, I invite you to step with me into the heart of the deep jungle, where ancient beliefs intertwined with chilling realities, and the story I'm about to share with you is not just a tale, but a first-hand account from a man I know, a remarkable individual named Daeng. It's a haunting narrative of a journey into the unknown, filled with terrifying encounters and profound lessons. Prepare yourselves for The Curse of the Forest Spirit. Daeng's family has a long and storied history as hunter, master hunters, and revered forest guides. This tradition has been passed down through generations from his grandfather to Uncle Chai and then to Daeng himself. Uncle Chai was in fact the most renowned hunter in their village, often sought after by city folk for forest excursions and hunts. One morning, as Daeng was routinely cleaning his gun outside his home, he spotted Uncle Kumping. Uncle Kumping was a familiar, tragic figure in their village, a man known to everyone as the Madman. He constantly wandered the roads clutching a piece of paper, weeping as he searched for his lost son. He would often stop strangers asking, "Can you read maps? Do you know this path? I made this path myself. Please help me find my son." Daeng, having wondered about Uncle Kumping for a long time, finally asked his uncle about him. Uncle Chai revealed a heartbreaking truth. Uncle Kumping was once a fellow hunter, an expert in the forest like himself. Years ago, a group of city dwellers hired Uncle Kumping to guide them to a hidden treasure using a map acquired from a friend who was a communist. Uncle Kumping, also wishing to train his own son in the ways of the forest, brought him along. But a terrible, unforeseen event occurred. Uncle Kumping's son was brutally killed by a wild animal deep within the jungle. The shock was immense. Uncle Kumping, devastated, managed to retain enough presence of mind to lead the group out of the forest, but his son's body was left behind. Overwhelmed by grief and unable to come to terms with the tragedy, he lost his sanity. Daeng was deeply saddened by the story. Later that day, Uncle Chai informed Daeng that he would be entering the forest for a day or two to collect herbs. Before leaving, he gave Daeng a collection of powerful, sacred items, telling him, "You've learned much from me, spells and wisdom. Though you haven't ventured deep into the forest, I give you these for your protection. You will need them soon, trust me." These items included enchanted sand, a sacred rope, betel leaves to be placed behind the ear, and a mutan boar tusk to wear around his neck. Uncle Chai also emphasized, when you use them, remember to have mindfulness and think of your masters. With that, Uncle Chai departed on his old motorcycle. Not long after his uncle left, a van pulled up to Daeng's house. 4 strangers emerged shouting for Punta Chai. Daeng, curious, stepped out. The group introduced themselves as Yolt, Dao, Prao, and Moi, a team of nature explorers or treasure hunters. They explained they needed a guide to lead them to a new undiscovered treasure following a map they possessed. Daeng was intrigued and asked about the map. Dao revealed that the map came from Dao's grandfather, who received it from a communist friend. But the most shocking detail was this: the map was made of human skin. Dao explained that the communist friend on his deathbed told Dao's grandfather that the map to his hidden treasures, guns and supplies was tattooed on his back, and he should take the skin once he died. Daeng immediately felt a chilling connection to Uncle Kumping's tragic story. He wondered if this was the same map or if history was about to repeat itself, but he kept his thoughts to himself. Daeng initially declined their request, stating he hadn't completed his hunter training. However, Prao, with a disdainful look, interjected, "If he's unwilling, let's find another hunter. He doesn't seem skilled enough, probably just sits at home, hasn't even finished his training." Moi continued to speak ill of him. This blatant insult to his family's legacy sparked something in Daeng. His face darkened, and he abruptly declared, "All right, I'll take the job. I will guide you." Dar was ecstatic, and they agreed to meet at 8 a.m. the following morning at the edge of the forest behind the village. The next morning, Daeng, armed with his trusty gun and supplies, met the group. At the forest's edge, he performed an essential ritual to open the forest. He offered white liquor, a boiled chicken, and a handful of incense, chanting a sacred spell. A sudden gust of wind swept through, signaling permission from the forest spirits. With the unseen guardians appeased, they entered the dense wilderness. As they trekked deeper, Daeng, skilled in tracking but less so in navigation, relied on Dao, who expertly handled a compass. At one point, Dao, feeling confident, suggested leading the way. Daeng, sensing danger, advised against it, saying, "The jungle is full of unseen perils, it's best I lead." But before Dao could even finish his reply, a python suddenly dropped from a tree and instantly coiled around Dao. Dao struggled, crying out for help. Daeng, without hesitation, drew his knife and swiftly severed the snake's body in two, saving Dao's life. A shaken Dao thanked him profusely, now fully trusting Daeng's judgment. Daeng explained that in such situations, one must remain calm, find the snake's tail, and pull it to force it to uncoil. Indeed, this is a recognized method for escaping a python's grip. The two women, Prao and Moi, were increasingly uneasy, but Moi especially continued to complain and openly mock Daeng. Daeng, choosing to avoid conflict, announced they would rest by a nearby stream. They soon reached a small stream where they cooked and ate their simple packed lunch. As dusk approached, Daeng decided to make camp near a massive tree, its canopy offering shelter from the night's dew. While the others set up their tents, Daeng laid out his tarp and built a campfire. Then he performed a crucial protective measure. He strung the sacred rope given by his uncle around their campsite, declaring it a safe perimeter. He sternly warned everyone, "Remember, in the forest anything can happen. Do not leave this area alone, and if you hear voices, do not answer them." Moi scoffed, "What's the big deal? It's just a forest. This hunter is so superstitious." Ignoring her, everyone settled into their tents. Later that night, as Daeng sat vigil by the fire, a chilling feminine voice drifted on the wind. "Who are you? You are in my territory, and you have defiled it with your waste without asking permission." Daeng, addressing the unseen, calmly replied, "We mean no harm. We wish to stay out of your way. Let's keep to our own paths." The voice grew colder. "How can I? You are sleeping on my land, and you have brought your filth without permission." Daeng knew this was serious. He pulled out a Garuda emblem coin from his bag and walked to the base of the massive tree and hammered the coin into the trunk while chanting a powerful spell to suppress the forest's dark magic. The voice immediately vanished. Moments later, a blood-curdling scream erupted from the women's tent. It was Prao. Daeng rushed over, and the two men, Yult and Dar, also emerged from their tent. Prao cried out, "Hunter! Hunter! Look at Moi! Something's wrong with her!" Inside, Moi lay rigid, eyes wide open, unable to move. Daeng, acting quickly, conjured a spell over some water and instructed them to bring Moi out of the tent and lay her by the fireplace. He then blew on the water again, instructing Prao to rub it on Moi's face and eyes. Slowly, Moi's body relaxed and she regained consciousness, screaming and clinging to Prao. She recounted her terrifying experience. "There was a woman in a golden traditional cloth. She was so frightening. She called me out and tried to drag me into the forest." Daeng realized what had happened. He asked, "Did anyone break the rules I set tonight? Did anyone leave the protected area?" Everyone looked blank, but Prao then remembered. "Oh yes, Moi had a severe stomach ache and asked me to go with her to relieve herself. She didn't ask for permission, did you, Moi?" Moi, confused, replied, Why would I ask? Whose wild is this anyway? Daeng sighed, knowing they had brought trouble upon themselves. He reassured them, "Don't worry, the spirit cannot enter the area protected by my spell. Just go back to sleep. But if you hear anything, do not answer them." Despite their fear, the group returned to their tents. Daeng continued his vigil. After a while, a figure appeared outside the sacred rope. It was a woman in a golden traditional cloth, beautiful yet menacing. She stood still, her face devoid of expression, and declared, "You disrespect me. Soon you will face consequences. Today I cannot harm you, but tomorrow, don't think you are stronger than me, hunter." She then laughed a chilling laugh and slowly vanished into the darkness. Daeng understood that this night might have passed, but the next would surely bring more danger. The next morning, after a restless night, they continued their journey. As they walked, a low buzzing sound grew louder around them. Daeng instantly recognized the danger. "Run! Don't look back! Run!" he yelled. As they sprinted, Rote, who was at the back, looked behind him. He saw a massive black cloud of hornets, each as large as a pinky finger, swarming towards them. Daeng urged them to run towards a nearby hill. Just then, a small deer darted across their path, startling them, but they continued their desperate flight from the hornets. They reached the hill, and Daeng immediately began frantically sweeping leaves into a large pile. He then swiftly ignited the pile, creating a thick, smoky barrier. The hornets, fearing the smoke and fire, swirled around the barrier, unable to enter. As Daeng peeked from behind the smoke, he saw a horrifying sight. The deer that had run past them was being torn apart and devoured by the hornets, its body riddled with holes. Daeng realized these were not ordinary insects, they were flesh-eating hornets. He shuddered, imagining what would happen if they were caught, and urged everyone to leave the area as fast as possible. They pressed on, deeper and deeper into the forest, until they crossed into the second mountain range. Here, the terrain became a flat, easy path. Daeng, feeling this area might be safer due to the lack of animal tracks, decided to make camp for the night, especially since everyone was exhausted from running. He again set up his sacred rope, creating a protected perimeter. As evening fell, they cooked and ate. Around 7 or 8 p.m., Daeng assigned Rote and Dao to the first watch until midnight, while he would take over until dawn. The two men sat by the fire, chatting and occasionally sipping brandy. Sometime later, a shadowy figure, carrying a lantern, emerged from the darkness. It was a woman, dressed in rough, traditional forest attire. She stopped just outside the sacred rope, about a meter away. Rote, surprised, asked, "Why is there a woman walking alone in the middle of the forest at night?" Dao, remembering Daeng's earlier warning, was wary. The woman spoke in a plaintive voice. "Brother, please help me. I got lost looking for herbs with my mother. I'm so hungry. Can I come in for some food or water?" Rote, being more trusting, started to walk toward her, intending to bring her past the sacred rope. Just as he reached for the rope, Dao cried out, "Rote, stop! Don't move!" Rote turned, confused. Dao then called out to the woman, "If you're truly lost and alone this deep in the forest, and no one is looking for you, why don't you just cross the rope yourself? What are you afraid of?" At that very moment, a terrifying transformation began. The woman's form began to flicker and shift like an unstable image, alternating between a human shape and a four-legged creature with black and yellow striped fur. It was neither fully human nor fully tiger. Its eyes glowed in the firelight like an animal's.
The creature lunged forward, claws outstretched, aiming for Rote. Bang! Daeng, a light sleeper, had been instantly awake. He quickly aimed his gun and fired. The creature recoiled, stood on two legs like a person, and taunted them. "You think I'm afraid of just this sacred rope?" It dropped to all fours, its form flickering between human and beast, making it impossible to discern its true nature. It moved with terrifying speed, attacking the sacred rope Daeng had set, tearing it apart with its claws. "Disaster!" Daeng cried. He quickly reloaded and fired another shot. The creature stumbled back, but appeared unharmed, simply smirking. "Your bullets cannot harm me," it declared, then lunged at Daeng. Daeng, thinking it was over, remembered his uncle's words. "Have mindfulness. Think of your masters." He dodged, quickly loaded an enchanted bullet into his gun, and fired. Bang! The creature roared like a tiger, a stream of blood gushing from its body. It staggered back, clutched its wound, and slowly retreated into the darkness, its growls still echoing through the forest. Daeng knew they were not safe. He ordered everyone to climb the nearest large tree. The two women, already terrified from Moi's possession, heard the struggle but hadn't dared leave their tent until Daeng's command. They scrambled up the tree, and Daeng followed, barely escaping the creature's claws as it lunged at his foot. The creature, moving on all fours, then began to circle the tree where the five of them were perched, growling and taunting. "Today your fortune is strong, but next time I will eat you." It circled relentlessly, even as dawn approached, seeming unafraid of the coming light. Daeng, seeing its stubbornness, finally decided. He chanted a spell, loaded another enchanted bullet, and fired. The creature dodged, but this shot, coupled with the spell, seemed to convince it. It let out a final echoing roar and finally retreated into the forest. Exhausted and terrified, they descended from the tree as the sun rose. Daeng examined the broken sacred rope, surprised by its destruction. He found tracks, confirming the creature was gone. The group, still shaken, quickly packed their belongings, urged on by Daeng. They continued their journey, finally reaching the end of the map, a rocky hill with two wild, a type of edible fern trees. There, hidden at the base of the hill, was a small cave entrance. The treasure hunters rejoiced, embracing each other. Daeng, however, remained concerned about the dangers they had faced and the possible threat to future groups. Inside the cave, they found rusted, old wooden guns, smaller firearms, rusted ammunition boxes, and digging tools, all communist supplies. Most strikingly, there were two human skeletons. This confirmed that the map was real, leading to the hidden cache of the communist soldiers who likely died there, perhaps fleeing the military. The treasure hunters documented everything, planning to inform their agency. Daeng knew the return journey would be just as perilous. He decided to build a high shooting stand on the tree for the night, approximately 5 to 6 meters off the ground.
With the help of Dao and Yut, they constructed a sturdy platform. Before they settled in, Daeng reiterated his strict rules. "Everything I warned you about is real in this deep forest. Once you are on the shooting stand on the tree, do not come down, and if you hear anything, do not answer." This time, everyone nodded in solemn agreement. As darkness enveloped the forest on their third night, the chilling female voice returned, its words cutting through the air. "I told you we would meet again." Dao looked up in terror as the golden traditional cloth spirit appeared, floating in midair near their shooting stand on the tree, pointing accusingly. Daeng wasted no time, hurling the enchanted sand at the apparition. The spirit shrieked and vanished. Before they could even catch their breath, the figure of the woman with the lantern, the tiger spirit in its human form, appeared directly beneath the shooting stand on the tree. She looked up at them, her eyes burning, and declared, "Tonight I will kill you all." Dao panicked, and the two women huddled together on the verge of a breakdown. Daeng knew the spirit was trying to drive them to madness, hoping they would fall from shooting stand on the tree. He fired his gun at the creature, which sprang away into the forest, letting out a tiger's roar. But then, the golden traditional cloth spirit materialized again from beneath the shooting stand on the tree, repeating its chilling mantra, "Today I will kill you all! Today I will kill you all!" The mental pressure was immense. Suddenly, the golden traditional cloth spirit seemed to materialize right next to Daeng's ear, whispering, "I will kill you." Startled, Daeng instinctively reacted, jumping away, forgetting he was high on the shooting stand on the tree. He plummeted downwards, desperately grabbing at branches as he slid, finally hitting the ground below. He was in excruciating pain, his left arm severely injured. He yelled up to the others, "Don't come down! Stay on the shooting stand on the tree!" The tiger spirit, in its flickering, grotesque form, immediately lunged at him. Daeng dodged and scrambled for cover behind a large reddish tree. As he clutched his injured arm, he remembered the beetle leaf his uncle had given him. He pulled it out, chanted a powerful, he held his breath, placing the leaf behind his ear, and stood motionless behind the tree. The tiger spirit stalked towards him, growling low in its throat, sniffing the air. Daeng, heart pounding, watched as the monstrous figure walked right past him, sniffing again, yet failing to see him. It circled the tree, then turned towards the shooting stand on the tree where the others were. Daeng, realizing the spell worked, quickly reloaded his gun with an enchanted bullet and fired. Bang! The creature roared, stumbling and collapsing. It was a strange sight, neither fully human nor animal. Seizing the moment, Daeng quickly loaded another bullet, chanted a new potent spell, and fired directly at its head. The creature finally fell motionless. Daeng, thinking it was defeated, took the beetle leaf from his ear and, despite his throbbing arm, climbed back up to the shooting stand on the tree. The others, still in shock, were barely coherent. But the nightmare was far from over. Just as Daeng reassured them, the motionless body of the tiger spirit transformed into a cloud of black smoke, which then reformed into the flickering human animal shape, and atop its back sat the golden traditional cloth spirit, laughing maniacally. "You will die today! I will kill you all!" Daeng was frustrated, realizing his enchanted bullets, he only had 2 left, were not enough to permanently defeat this creature. Then, a familiar, comforting voice echoed in Daeng's mind, his uncle's voice. "Daeng, if you cannot subdue this amateur tiger spirit, this inexperienced creature, and a foolish forest spirit, you must not be afraid," the voice urged. "The items I gave you are imbued with powerful magic. Be mindful, think clearly, and you will overcome." Daeng's focus returned. He loaded one of his 2 remaining enchanted bullets. As he fired, the tiger spirit dodged, and in doing so, the golden traditional cloth spirit riding its back was dislodged, jumping to the side. Seizing the moment, Daeng quickly threw his enchanted sand at the spirit. It shrieked loudly, a piercing scream, and finally dissolved, vanishing completely. Now, only the tiger spirit remained. Daeng used his very last enchanted bullet on it. The tiger spirit howled and dissolved as well, but its essence seemed to linger. All his other sacred items were either used up or damaged. The enchanted sand was gone, the sacred rope was broken, and the beetle leaf could only offer temporary protection. Only one item remained, the mouton boar tusk hanging around his neck.
Daeng, remembering his uncle's words, he recalls his masters and parents. So he began chanting a mantra. While he was chanting, the tusk began to emit a soft, white light like moonlight. This light floated down from the shooting stand on the tree to the forest floor below. Suddenly, the sounds of a violent struggle erupted, trees cracking, fierce roars and heavy thuds as if two massive animals were fighting. Daeng could only hear the chaos. He couldn't see what was happening below. After a short time, the light returned to the tusk and a profound silence descended upon the forest. Daeng remained on the shooting stand on the tree until morning, unable to discern the outcome, comforting the shaken group. As dawn broke, he carefully climbed down. He saw fallen bamboo and broken trees, clear evidence of a powerful struggle. Then he found it, the creature's body. It was not quite a tiger, yet it had tiger stripes. Its form was more canine, like a dog, with a long snout, mangy fur and blisters. A massive, putrid wound gaped open on its stomach. It was undoubtedly the same creature, but it had been utterly defeated by an unknown force. Knowing they were finally safe, Daeng helped the traumatized group down from the shooting stand on the tree. They quickly packed, their fears still palpable. Daeng, despite the dangers of night travel in the forest, decided to leave immediately, prioritizing their psychological well-being over conventional wisdom. They walked through the night, eventually reaching the edge of the village in the pre-dawn hours. They stayed at Daeng's house. The next morning, Uncle Chai returned and, seeing Daeng, embraced him proudly. "Daeng," he said, "you used what I gave you well. I had a feeling something would happen. You are truly skilled to have gone into the deep forest for the first time with a group and brought them all out safely. Few can do that. But next time, if you're unsure, always tell your uncle first. The dangers in the forest are unpredictable." The treasure hunters eventually contacted their agency about the discovery of the old communist guns and skeletons. As for the treasure itself, it was just the rusted guns and supplies, no gold or money. Mui, who had been targeted by the golden traditional cloth spirit, was protected by Daeng's water ritual and vigilance, having suffered no lasting harm. The female spirit, it seems, was specifically pursuing Mui. This story is a powerful reminder of the profound respect we must have for nature and its unseen inhabitants. As hunters and guides learn, never disrespect the spirits of the forest or violate their rules. And always, if you venture into unfamiliar wilderness, bring an experienced guide, someone who knows the land, its dangers, and can command respect from both man and spirit. The creature Daeng fought, as his uncle's voice revealed, was not a full-fledged tiger spirit, but an amateur tiger spirit, an individual still learning the art of transformation, which explains its flickering, unstable appearance. I hope this story has kept you on the edge of your seats and perhaps given you a glimpse into the mysterious depths of the wilderness. If you enjoyed this tale and want to hear more of my stories and insights into the supernatural and the forest, please subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to sharing more chilling tales with you next time.